The whispers started as a rumor, a simple late-night tweet claiming something was deeply wrong inside TPUSA. But within hours, that rumor detonated into a Category 5 firestorm, dragging Erika Kirk straight into the center of a scandal so massive, so chaotic, so financially catastrophic that even people inside the organization were terrified to speak on record. And now, insiders are claiming that the IRS, yes, the IRS, has already stepped in, and what they allegedly found behind the scenes is bad. Much worse than anyone expected. Because according to sources who've been quietly feeding information to journalists for weeks, this isn't just about accounting issues. This is about $15 million vanishing into smoke. Money that was supposed to fund programs, scholarships, events. Money that donors had reportedly earmarked for very specific causes. Yet somehow, mysteriously, the numbers stopped adding up. And every trail, every document, every unexplained discrepancy allegedly leads back to one name: Erika Kirk. But here's the part that's sending shockwaves through conservative circles. People who once defended her are suddenly distancing themselves fast. Staffers are deleting old photos. Influencers who used to praise her are going silent. And an internal memo, one that was never meant to reach the public, suggests that federal investigators flagged patterns that could signal fraud, misuse, or something even darker. And the question everyone is terrified to say out loud is the same question you're probably thinking right now. Did Erika Kirk know? Or worse, was she involved? Because tonight, we're diving deep into the timeline, the leaks, the secret money trails, and the insider testimonies that paint a very different picture of what happened behind closed doors. And trust me, the real story is so much worse than the headlines. For years, Erika Kirk was presented as the polished, unshakable, perfectly branded face of conservative womanhood. An image carefully crafted, carefully maintained, and carefully protected. She was the smiling keynote speaker, the Instagram-ready ambassador, the woman praised for her leadership, her faith, and her vision for the next generation. Every conference, every gala, every backstage interview framed her as the one who brought calm to chaos, clarity to confusion, and dignity to the noise swirling around TPUSA. But what nobody realized, what nobody even suspected, was that behind that serene surface, a storm was slowly forming. A storm that would grow, gather, twist, and eventually blast open a scandal so massive that even people who didn't like Erika refused to believe it at first. Because if the allegations are true, if even half of what's coming out is accurate, then Erika wasn't just slightly involved. She was at the center of everything. To understand how it even got to this point, you have to go back years, long before the $15 million discrepancy, long before the IRS allegedly stepped in, long before donors started panicking and lawyers started whispering the phrase, criminal liability. This story begins back when Erika was first introduced to TPUSA circles through her husband, Charlie. Back then, she wasn't powerful. She wasn't influential. She wasn't even well-known, but she was observant. And insiders say that from day one, she understood one thing better than anyone else. Power isn't just given, it's taken. Quietly, carefully, strategically. Her early appearances were harmless enough. Small panels, volunteer initiatives, charity events. But people noticed something subtle. She didn't struggle for visibility. She didn't fade into the background like most political spouses. Instead, influence began gravitating toward her. Donors, staffers, image consultants, evangelical leaders. She had a way of making people feel chosen, valued, seen. And once they felt that, they'd defend her without question. According to former TPUSA employees, this is exactly how the foundation was laid. She was smart, one ex-staffer privately said. She knew the value of loyalty. And she knew exactly who to make loyal to her. But nobody thought much of it at the time. After all, what harm could a charismatic public figure do? Plenty, as it turns out, because as her presence grew, so did her access. First to events, then to donor meetings, then to internal planning retreats. Spaces usually reserved only for senior leadership. And with access came something even more powerful: information. Budgets, donor lists, financial projections, program funding, expense requests. Things most people couldn't see, she somehow did. This is where the first red flags began, but they were faint. Tiny things. Miscommunications, misfiled receipts. Confusion over the allocation of event funds. But TPUSA was expanding so fast, so aggressively, that people chalked it up to growing pains. Nobody wanted to believe anything suspicious was happening behind the scenes, until a pattern started forming. A pattern that didn't make sense. Some projects were overfunded for no clear reason. Others were underfunded despite donor commitments. Certain invoices were approved at lightning speed, while others mysteriously stalled. People closest to the finances reportedly started asking questions, and instead of answers, they allegedly received attitude, deflection, or, worse, subtle warnings to drop it. But what shook insiders the most wasn't the confusion. It was the reactions. Anytime someone questioned Erika's decisions, something strange happened behind the scenes. Their responsibilities would shrink. Their communications would be restricted. Their invitations to events would quietly stop appearing in their inbox. These weren't coincidences. They were consequences. Still, nobody imagined it would one day escalate into a full-blown federal situation. As her influence expanded, her image strengthened. Erika launched programs, spoke at conferences, and networked tirelessly. She built partnerships with pastors, politicians, social media influencers, and conservative women's groups. On the surface, her brand was spotless, inspirational, untouchable. But behind that immaculate image, tension was building. Donors were getting frustrated with the lack of transparency. Internal teams were becoming divided. Those who believed in Erika completely, and those who whispered that something felt off. But whispering wasn't enough to stop anything. Because the people in the best position to notice patterns were also in the worst position to speak up. They relied on TPUSA for their salaries, their connections, their future careers. Everything boiled quietly until last year, when multiple high-level staffers reportedly noticed something alarming in the internal numbers. Nothing concrete at first, just inconsistencies, gaps in reporting, projects that didn't match the funding documents. But the concern wasn't the numbers themselves. It was the volume, the scale, the speed at which the discrepancies were increasing. They started cross-checking spreadsheets, comparing donor agreements, double-verifying expense reports, and slowly, horrifyingly, the pieces began to form a picture nobody wanted to believe. $15 million, money accounted for in presentations, yet missing in execution. Money donors believed was being used for programs that never fully materialized. Money that insiders claim was rerouted or disguised through layers of approvals. This discovery didn't just terrify the staffers, it paralyzed them. Because the moment they realized something was deeply wrong, they also realized something else. The person with the most access to those decisions was Erika. Some claim she knew. Others claim she engineered it. And a few insist she was set up. But nobody can deny the timeline. The financial irregularities and Erika's rise in influence moved together. The higher she climbed, the deeper the discrepancies grew. And then came the moment that turned quiet suspicion into a full-blown crisis. A donor demanded answers. A donor with power. A donor with influence. A donor who wasn't afraid to contact authorities. That's when the real panic started. Internal emails allegedly flew at 3 a.m. Urgent calls were made. Damage control meetings were set behind locked doors. Staffers were told to stay calm, while leadership scrambled to figure out just how bad things were. But it was already too late. Because the donor's complaint triggered something nobody at TPUSA expected. the IRS opened an inquiry. And from the moment that inquiry began, nothing inside TPUSA has been the same. The IRS inquiry didn't start with a dramatic raid or some public announcement. It began quietly, almost silently, exactly the way TPUSA feared most. A simple request for documents, a routine verification, a standard audit notice that should have been easy to handle. But the moment the letter arrived, people inside the organization felt the temperature drop. Something about the tone, the timing, and the urgency didn't feel routine. It felt intentional. It felt targeted. And it felt like the beginning of something devastating. The inquiry asked for financial reports related to a series of TPUSA programs. Programs Erika had been heavily involved in promoting, planning, or approving. At first, leadership insisted everything was fine. "We'll clear this up," one executive allegedly told staff. "This is nothing." But within days, the atmosphere shifted. Because when the documents were pulled, when the numbers were lined up, when the financial trails were finally laid side by side, the silence in that room was deafening. The numbers didn't match, not even close. And the discrepancies weren't minor, they were massive. Transfers that shouldn't have been approved, invoices that didn't align, budgets that inexplicably doubled between donor presentation and final execution. Tens of thousands redirected, refiled, or reclassified. And the most shocking part? Almost every questionable transaction happened under the supervision or approval of someone close to Erika. Inside the organization, panic set in. Staff members who had once admired her started whispering to each other, "This is bad. This is really, really bad. How could this happen under her watch?" And every time someone opened another document, another spreadsheet, another approval request, the same pattern reappeared. Erika's fingerprints were everywhere. That's when internal investigators, brought in discreetly to prepare for the IRS review, began tracing the timeline. They went back months, then years. And what they found was even more alarming. The inconsistencies didn't appear suddenly. They grew slowly, gradually, almost strategically over time. And the more they looked, the more it became clear that these weren't innocent mistakes. Yet no one dared to accuse her directly. Not at first. Erika's influence was too strong, too protected, too intertwined with TPUSA's public image. Her brand wasn't just personal, it was organizational. Questioning her meant questioning the entire reputation of the movement. But at this point, silence felt dangerous. So a quiet group of senior staffers reportedly met off the record, away from cameras, away from the office, away from anyone loyal to Erika. They met in late-night diners. They met in hotel lobbies. They spoke in hushed tones. What if she knew? What if this wasn't an accident? What if she's been covering this longer than we realized? And then someone said the one sentence nobody wanted to hear. What if the IRS already knows? This possibility sent shockwaves through the organization. Because once the IRS starts digging, they don't stop. They don't lose interest. They don't remove pressure. They follow numbers the way bloodhounds follow scent. And according to one insider, the IRS requested more detailed documentation than expected. A phrase that terrified anyone who understood federal processes. Then came the moment everything escalated. One staffer, whose name has been kept secret for safety, found an email thread buried deep in archived folders. A thread that should have been deleted months ago. A thread that exposed internal conversations between a high-ranking TPUSA financial officer and someone connected directly to Erika. The messages were short, vague, but loaded with implication. "We can move the remaining amount if you approve." Does she know the total? Keep the donor list out of this version. Make sure this doesn't go to compliance yet. Nobody in that meeting breathed. Nobody spoke. But everyone felt the same icy realization creep down their spine. This wasn't a simple accounting error. This wasn't mismanagement. These messages suggested knowledge, permission, coordination, and Erika's name was referenced twice. Leadership panicked. Some wanted to hide the emails. Others insisted they had to be included in the IRS documents or things would get worse. Rumors say a shouting match erupted behind closed doors. People walked out. Someone cried. One senior executive allegedly yelled, "If we don't handle this correctly, we're all going down." And while the internal war erupted, Erika was quiet. Too quiet. People tried messaging her, calling her, asking for statements, asking for clarity, asking for explanations. But her responses were short, defensive, or delayed. She blamed miscommunication. She blamed the finance team. She blamed procedural issues. Never once accepting responsibility. Never once acknowledging the growing fear inside the organization. That's when the first twist hit. A whistleblower. Someone tired of waiting. Tired of the silence. Tired of watching leadership protect Erika. Leaked part of the internal audit findings to a journalist who had been sniffing around for weeks. This journalist didn't publish immediately. They verified details. They cross-checked data. They reached out to sources. And once they felt confident, they dropped a bomb. A midnight article. A headline that exploded on social media. A story that instantly went viral. Exclusive. Internal TPUSA documents show $15 million in unexplained transfers, all linked to leadership connected to Erika Kirk. It wasn't the full story. It wasn't even the worst part. But it was enough to ignite chaos across the political world. Within minutes, Twitter threads spiraled. TikTok creators posted reaction videos. Reddit forums dissected every line. And journalists from multiple outlets started contacting TPUSA for comment. The organization tried to deny everything. They called the report misleading. They claimed the documents were misinterpreted. But the public wasn't buying it. Because the article included screenshots, partial spreadsheets, internal memos, and most damaging of all, a blurred-out email referencing Erika's approval on a six-figure transfer without prior compliance review. People went wild. Some defended her. Some demanded she step down. Others insisted this was a smear campaign. But the noise was deafening. And through all of it, Erika remained silent, posting nothing, saying nothing, pretending nothing was happening. But silence only makes scandals grow. The next morning, federal agents reportedly requested additional documents, this time with urgency. This was the moment TPUSA leadership realized the inquiry was turning into an investigation. No more soft language, no more reassurance. The IRS was officially digging deeper, and the organization was cracking. Confusion turned into fear. Fear turned into blame. Blame turned into desperation. And in that desperation came the first real fracture. Senior executives started distancing themselves from Erika, publicly and privately. Some unfollowed her on social media. Some deleted old posts. Some removed her photos from event banners. Some scrubbed her name from ongoing projects. People who once depended on her presence were now terrified it might ruin them. And then, the twist nobody expected. Late one night, long after offices had closed, someone leaked a second set of documents. These weren't financial statements. These were screenshots of text messages allegedly exchanged between Erika and a confidential TPUSA contractor. Messages about protecting donors, reframing numbers, and one chilling line. We can redirect the funds before the audit sees it. Nobody knew if the texts were real. Nobody knew who leaked them, but they spread like wildfire. And the timing couldn't have been worse, because by this point, the IRS had already begun requesting witness interviews. The pressure around Erika was reaching a breaking point. Staff members avoided her. Donors demanded meetings. Lawyers started circling. And people inside TPUSA began asking questions out loud now. Questions they were too afraid to whisper before. What if she orchestrated this? What if this is bigger than 15 million? What if someone else was helping her? What if this was planned? The scandal wasn't just financial anymore. It was personal, political, explosive. And the world was about to discover that the 15 million was only the beginning. The morning after the leaked text messages exploded across social media, TPUSA headquarters felt like it was sitting on top of a shaky volcano, one that could erupt at any second. Staff walked into the building whispering, eyes darting, phones buzzing nonstop with notifications. Everyone was trying to figure out the same thing. Who leaked the screenshots? Were they real? And most importantly, could Erika survive this? Because by now, even the people who once believed she was untouchable were starting to panic. The IRS had already intensified its inquiry, and the words "formal investigation" were being quietly tossed around hallways like cursed objects nobody wanted to touch. The board was furious, donors were furious, and even conservative influencers, people who made careers out of unity and brand loyalty, were starting to throw subtle shade online. It was subtle, but it was there. A carefully phrased tweet, a vague Instagram story about leaders who disappoint, a podcast host saying, "Some people in this movement need to be honest." Everyone knew who they were talking about, but nobody said her name. Not yet. While TPUSA was spiraling, social media was on fire. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform was devouring the drama like it was the season finale of a political reality show. Hashtags started trending. TPUSA scandal. Erika exposed. Chur 15 million missing. Meme pages, political channels, anonymous burner accounts, everyone chimed in. One viral TikTok video, which gained 1.3 million views in 6 hours, featured a dramatic breakdown of the leaked texts along with the caption, "How do you redirect money before an audit? Hello?" Another post, allegedly from a former TPUSA volunteer, wrote, "People think this is new. We've been seeing weird financial things since 2021. Erika always had her hands in everything." But the most damaging content came from a Twitter thread written by someone claiming to be a former mid-level employee. The thread read like a confession. "I was scared to speak out. Everyone told us to stay quiet. But Erika controlled everything, budgets, approvals, donor communications. If you upset her, you were done." And then the tweet that sent chills through the internet. She knew. She always knew. Within minutes, thousands of retweets, comments, and screenshots flooded the platform. Reporters began reaching out. Influencers reacted in real time, and political commentators held emergency live streams dissecting every word. TPUSA tried to suppress the thread. DMCA claims, legal language, warnings, but it had already gone viral. The damage was irreversible. But Erika still said nothing. While the internet raged, insiders say she spent those days behind closed doors with lawyers, crisis managers, and image consultants. Some claim she was furious. Others say she was crying. But one source, who allegedly saw her during a late-night meeting, claimed she was calm. Too calm. As if she believed she could still fix everything. As if she still had cards to play. And then, something happened that nobody saw coming. An anonymous source, someone close to TPUSA leadership, sent a massive file to 3 major news organizations. A file packed with internal audits, financial summaries, receipt logs, and a particularly suspicious spreadsheet showing reallocation adjustments, totaling nearly 8 figures. The file also contained a set of encrypted PDFs labeled only with dates. Dates that matched major TPUSA events Erika had been involved in. The journalists scrambled to verify the material. Legal teams panicked. And when one outlet confirmed the data's authenticity, they dropped a bombshell article titled, "TPUSA's Hidden Money Funnel. Exclusive documents reveal new depths of financial misconduct. Officials connected to Erika Kirk under scrutiny." The article didn't outright accuse Erika of fraud, but it didn't have to. It painted a picture so detailed, so damning, so exact, that anyone reading it understood the implication. Erika wasn't just adjacent to the scandal, she was embedded in it. The reaction was immediate. A conservative commentator posted, "If these numbers are true, TPUSA is done. This is catastrophic." A left-leaning journalist tweeted, "I said it months ago. Something was happening behind the scenes. Now the evidence is here." A YouTube political analyst made a 40-minute breakdown that shot to Thumbers 7 on trending, saying, "Someone in TPUSA is lying, someone is stealing, and someone is panicking." And then the twist came. One of the encrypted PDFs, a file labeled with the date of a major donor gala, contained something that froze every journalist in place. A list of donor commitments totaling over $8 million, and internal notes showing that nearly $1.6 million of those funds were adjusted in ways that didn't match the official public numbers. But it wasn't the numbers that caused the explosion. It was the tiny text at the bottom of the page. Preliminary approval. EK. EK, Erika Kirk. The document didn't prove criminal intent. It didn't confirm fraud. But it did one thing perfectly. It tied Erika directly to financial decisions she had previously distanced herself from. It was the first hard piece of evidence placing her inside the machine. And the world reacted instantly. Social media went ballistic. Memes flooded timelines. Pundits screamed on live TV. Screenshots exploded across Telegram and Reddit. But the worst blow came from the conservative community itself. Influencers who once championed Erika suddenly posted cryptic, praying for truth messages. Commentators hinted that some leaders have been failing us. And one major donor, someone with massive influence, released a statement saying, "I am deeply disappointed. I demand transparency. I want answers." This donor had never criticized TPUSA publicly before, so when they did now, it sent shockwaves. But the chaos didn't stop there. Because while TPUSA was scrambling to contain the fallout, the IRS made its next move: formal interviews. And guess who was first on their list? A financial officer who had worked closely with Erika for over 2 years. Insiders claim the officer showed up to the meeting pale, trembling, clutching folders filled with documents. Documents they were allegedly terrified to hand over. Some say the officer brought notes detailing conversations with Erika. Others claim they brought personal messages that had never been seen by anyone else. Whatever it was, that interview lasted nearly 5 hours. And when they left the federal building, they were in tears. Nobody knows what was said. Nobody knows what was shown. But that officer hasn't returned to work since. And then, just when people thought the scandal had hit maximum chaos, a new leak hit social media. A video. A secretly recorded meeting. A meeting where TPUSA leadership could be heard discussing protecting the brand, strategic distancing, and the phrase that broke the internet. Erika has to take responsibility before this becomes criminal. The clip was 42 seconds long, but that was enough. The moment it went viral, all hell broke loose. People accused TPUSA of throwing Erika under the bus. Others said the video proved she was guilty. Some insisted it was edited. Some said it was authentic. But the public didn't care about nuance. They cared about drama. And the drama was escalating fast. Political podcasts hosted emergency episodes. Twitter Spaces went live for hours. TikTok reactors stitched every new detail. Conservatives fought each other in the comments. Liberals mocked everyone involved. Donors demanded updates. Staff begged for clarity. And all the while, Erika continued her silence, like someone waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But here's where everything takes a darker turn. Because the next morning, a new set of leaked documents appeared online. This time from an anonymous account claiming to have insider-level access to IRS findings. The documents weren't verified, but they shook the internet anyway. They showed alleged early IRS assessments claiming potential evidence of intentional misreporting, questionable adjustments, and preliminary indications of coordinated financial manipulation. And one line stood out. Subject EK appears in multiple flagged transactions. Subject EK Erika Kirk. People gasped, screenshots spread, hashtags trended, and the internet erupted into a full-scale frenzy. But the most shocking reveal? The part that made everyone sit up straight? A message posted by the anonymous account just minutes after dropping the documents. This goes deeper than Erika. Much deeper. The moment the anonymous account posted, "This goes deeper than Erika." Much deeper. The entire internet froze like someone had slammed the brakes on a runaway train. Within seconds, screenshots flooded every corner of social media. Twitter was in full meltdown mode, threads stacked on threads, people arguing, speculating, accusing, defending, and panicking. Nobody knew whether the documents were real, but nobody cared either. They looked real enough, and the timing was deadly. Political influencers with millions of followers began jumping into the chaos. One conservative commentator tweeted, "If even half of this is accurate, TPUSA is facing a nuclear-level implosion." Another posted a video saying, "I've been quiet long enough. Something has been off for years. I'm not shocked." And then a popular left-wing personality went viral with a brutal reaction. "Corruption. At TPUSA? Shocked. I tell you, shocked," sparking thousands of mocking replies and memes. But what truly intensified the drama was the division forming among Erika's own followers. Her die-hard supporters insisted she was being set up. "This is political sabotage," one wrote in an Instagram comment that gained 14,000 likes. "She's a woman of faith, and the enemy always targets people like her." Another fan said, "Don't worry, Erika will speak. She always stands on truth." But not everyone agreed. A quiet but powerful shift was happening. People who once worshipped her elegance, her speeches, her perfect public image were now asking uncomfortable questions. She had access to everything. How could she not know? Why is she silent? Guilty people hide. I supported her for years. Now I feel stupid. Meanwhile, journalists began swarming like vultures. Articles with dramatic headlines spread across platforms. TPUSA in turmoil. Silence from Erika raises more questions. IRS expands inquiry as new leaks emerge. Insiders fear criminal charges may be coming. Cable news jumped in too. On one network, a panel debated whether Erika should be removed from all upcoming events. On another, a former TPUSA intern claimed, "There were whispers about financial weirdness for years. Everyone just pretended not to see it." But the biggest earthquake came from donors. They were furious. Not annoyed, not confused. Furious. One major donor released a scathing statement. "I trusted this organization with my money, my influence, and my reputation. I demand full transparency immediately." Another wrote, "If these allegations are true, the betrayal is unforgivable." And a third donor said bluntly, "I will not fund TPUSA until I see Erika publicly cleared or held accountable." Inside the industry, the reactions were even more brutal. Political organizations that once partnered with Erika began quietly removing her photos from their pages. Event planners paused her speaking engagements. A conservative women's conference deleted an entire promotional graphic featuring her face. Even publishers who had considered book deals with her now acted like her name was toxic. Influencers who once praised her feminine poise and leadership were suddenly posting cryptic prayers about false idols and the seduction of influence. And then came the fan wars. On TikTok, dueling videos erupted. Side-by-side reactions. Tearful supporters desperate to defend Erika. Angry former fans calling her a fraud. Conspiracy theorists claiming the IRS was framing her, and skeptics insisting she had been covering something up for far longer than anyone realized. One TikTok creator went viral with a chilling line. Look at her photos from the last year. Her smile changed. Her eyes changed. She was hiding something. On Reddit, the drama became a full-blown investigation. Users posted timelines, receipts, screenshots, archived pages, and breakdowns of every leaked document. A thread titled "TPUSA Financial Fraud Full Analysis" gained 20,000 upvotes in under 2 hours. And that's when the celebrities jumped in. A well-known comedian tweeted, "Y'all kept saying TPUSA was the future. Looks like Erika was the future of tax evasion." A reality star posted on Instagram, "I don't trust anyone who hides behind aesthetic Christianity." A famous podcaster hinted, "I warned people months ago that something was off." But the most surprising reaction came from someone inside the conservative movement, someone with a massive following, who posted, "I love Erika, but silence is not the answer right now. If she's innocent, she needs to speak before this spirals too far." It was the first time a major figure directly pressured her. Meanwhile, the hashtags kept climbing. Where is Erika? Yaka Erika respond. TPUSA exposed. Yark 15 million mystery. People were counting the hours since Erika's last post, commenting under old photos, writing paragraphs begging for clarity. "Just say something," one comment read with 3,000 likes. Innocent people don't stay quiet when their name is being ripped apart. And still, nothing from Erika. Inside TPUSA, panic turned to open conflict. Executives clashed during meetings. Lawyers argued over strategy. Staffers whispered about resignations. Someone leaked a voice note of a frantic internal meeting where a senior official could be heard saying, "This is out of control. We are being eaten alive online. The IRS is not backing off. Donors are furious. If Erika won't speak, we may have to cut her loose." That line, "cut her loose," became a trending audio clip on TikTok. People remixed it. They lip-synced it. They mocked it. They dramatized it. They slowed it down. They turned it into a villain edit of Erika. But the most chilling development came from the IRS side of things. Anonymous sources claimed interviews were getting more aggressive. Document requests were doubling. Electronic records were being demanded. And one journalist tweeted, "Someone inside TPUSA is cooperating. That's all I'm going to say." That single tweet sent an earthquake through every online community following the story. If someone inside was cooperating, then the investigation wasn't just serious. It was advancing fast. Faster than anyone realized. And it terrified people because cooperation usually means one thing: someone is trying to save themselves. The public now believed the scandal had layers. Layers nobody had seen yet. Layers only insiders could reveal. People were no longer asking, "Is Erika involved?" They were asking, "How much did she know? And who else is going down with her?" And with every hour, Erika remained silent. The tension got thicker, darker, more dangerous. It felt like the calm before a much bigger storm. One final twist the world wasn't prepared for. Just when it felt like the scandal had reached its peak, when the internet couldn't possibly twist itself into more theories, more panic, more conspiracies, something happened that changed the entire trajectory of the story. It hit like a meteor, unexpected and violent, silencing everyone who had been yelling online for days. And it began with a single notification on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. A journalist, the same one who broke the early internal audit leak, tweeted something that made thousands stop scrolling mid-swipe. There's a second investigation, and it's not just the IRS. 9 words. 9 words that detonated the timeline. People screamed in the comments. News outlets scrambled. Even influencers who had sworn they were done covering this drama rushed back with emergency live streams. Everyone demanded answers. Who was investigating? Why? What did they find? And why wasn't TPUSA addressing it? But before anyone could even process the shock, the journalist dropped another message. This isn't about finances. This is about intent. Intent. A word that flipped the scandal from a financial mess to something darker, something deliberate. And then the leaks started again, this time far more organized, almost strategic. A series of screenshots, emails, receipts, and internal notes began circulating from anonymous accounts claiming to be former TPUSA compliance staff. These weren't random posts anymore. These were posted in batches, with time-stamped threads and matching metadata. People analyzing the files said it looked like someone was releasing evidence in waves, as if preparing the public for something bigger. But the most shocking leak wasn't a document. It was a video. A full, uncut video, nearly 9 minutes long. No edits, no music, no captions. Just a camera recording a private TPUSA meeting from months earlier. A meeting nobody outside the organization should have ever seen. The video showed a tense boardroom, papers scattered, voices stiff, and at the head of the table, Erika. Not the glamorous Erika people saw on Instagram, not the soft-spoken keynote speaker. This Erika was firm, sharp, calculating. Her tone was calm, but her words cut like a blade. We can adjust the numbers later. The donors only see what we present. A man off-camera replied, panicked. But the allocations won't match the actual expenses. We're not discussing expenses, Erika said coldly. We're discussing optics. People online lost their minds. The video spread to every platform within 20 minutes. It hit 5 million views on Twitter alone before TPUSA's legal team tried to remove it. But by then, copies were everywhere. Telegram channels, TikTok stitches, Reddit backups, mirror links, screen recordings. Erika's voice echoed across the internet like a confession she never meant to make. And yet, this still wasn't the final blow. Because an hour after the video leaked, another anonymous account posted something that made the entire scandal feel like it was cracking open from the inside. I was there. Erika wasn't acting alone. That single sentence sent shockwaves through every discussion thread. Suddenly, the blame shifted. Suddenly, names other than Erika's were being whispered. Suddenly, the question wasn't, did Erika do this? But, who was helping her? Screenshots emerged next. Messages between senior staff members discussing restructuring numbers, avoiding donor panic, and one chilling line. Erika will take the lead publicly. The rest stays hidden. Hidden? Who was the rest? And what were they hiding? Theories exploded across social platforms. Some said multiple executives were involved. Others believed a political strategist orchestrated everything. A trending Reddit post even claimed someone connected to TPUSA's fundraising division had been manipulating donor data for years. And Erika was simply the face. But before the speculation could stabilize, something even more alarming happened. TPUSA released a statement. A vague, robotic, carefully worded statement full of legal jargon and damage control. The kind of statement organizations release when something devastating is happening behind the scenes. But the most suspicious part wasn't what they said. It was what they didn't say. They didn't defend Erika. They didn't deny the video. They didn't mention the investigation. They didn't even acknowledge her name. It was as if Erika Kirk had been erased. And then, silence. A chilling, suffocating silence from everyone inside TPUSA. But Erika? She finally moved, not publicly. Not through a statement, not through Instagram or Twitter. Instead, a reporter captured a blurry photo of her entering a building in Washington, D.C. A building known for hosting high-level legal consultations. A building associated with federal negotiation meetings. A building connected to cases where individuals seek cooperation agreements. The internet exploded. Is Erika flipping? OMG, she's snitching. This is bigger than 15M. She knows names. She knows everything. For the first time since the scandal broke, Erika wasn't hiding. She wasn't silent. She wasn't passive. She was doing something. Something behind closed doors. Something that suggested she wasn't going down alone. And as the public spiraled into hysterical speculation, as journalists rushed to confirm the sighting, as influencers debated what this meant, an anonymous message hit Twitter that shut everything down. Erika isn't the target. She's the key. And then the account vanished. Deleted. Gone. Leaving one final terrifying question hanging over the entire internet. If Erika is the key, then who is the real target? And now, after everything you've just heard, after the leaked documents, the explosive video, the insider confessions, the IRS breathing down TPUSA's neck, and Erika Kirk being spotted walking into a federal consultation building with her head down and her phone off, the only question left is the one nobody has an answer for. What happens next? Because right now, this scandal is hanging by a thread. A thread that could snap at any second. Maybe Erika is negotiating. Maybe she's cooperating. Maybe she's preparing to expose names the public never expected. Or maybe, just maybe, she's about to unleash a statement that will flip the entire narrative upside down. And that's why I need you. I want you to go straight to the comments and tell me exactly what you think. Do you believe Erika orchestrated the entire $15 million disaster? Was she just a pawn in a bigger scheme? Is she flipping on TPUSA leadership right now? Or is this all a massive internal cover-up that finally leaked out of control? Your theories matter. Because this story is still unfolding, still mutating, still twisting into something bigger and darker than anyone expected. And trust me, there is more coming. The IRS isn't finished. Journalists aren't finished. And those anonymous insiders, they're just warming up. If you want the next update, the next leak, the next twist, the next shocking development in this escalating, spiraling, unstoppable political meltdown, make sure you drop a like, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications right now. Because when the next part drops, you do not want to be the one hearing about it late. This story isn't ending. It's only beginning. And the next reveal might be the biggest one yet.